Danny Fullen for Boxing News, delighted to be joined by Jack Catterall, who had his fight against Harlem Eubank this weekend. Jack, first of all, happy birthday for yesterday. One man who I think spoiled your birthday a bit was Harlem, kept you waiting on the rooftop, saw the clip. Talk to us a bit about what happened there.
You know what, it was the first day of the fight week activities, should we say. We were scheduled to do a rooftop face-off at, I think it was 5:30, so obviously being on time, got there at 5:15 like we were told to. And we waited on the roof for an hour. You know what, I don't deep it too much. I was with my team, we had a laugh, but there's a point where you've got to call it, and time to go home. And then as I was ready to leave, they eventually turned up, so I made quick doings of it, jumped out the car, did a face off, and that was it. I was on my way back home.
Living up to the Eubank name, shall we say. Jack, before we come on to the fight with Harlem, just want to reflect a bit, if you don't mind, on the defeat to Arno Barboza Jr. Very close fight, very competitive fight, nip and tuck, not a lot in it, definitely one for the purists. What were your reflections on that fight when you went and watched it back, and maybe where you fell short in your eyes?
Yeah, a lot of frustration, being competitive, could have done more, should have done more. It's alright saying it now, it's too late, so I was kicking myself because I know that a victory then would have put me in another great position for more big fights, but it happened. I got beat, I can't complain about it. It was a close nip and tuck fight, like you said. I've got to do better and be better, and that's what I intend to do Saturday.
That was your third fight in a row against arguably a top 5 at 140 pounds. You've since moved up to welterweight. Talk to me a bit about that jump up in weight. Is it something that you and the team have discussed for a while? The question I sort of want to ask is, if you hadn't been so close to a world title shot, do you think maybe you'd have moved up to welterweight slightly sooner? Do you think we see the best Jack Catterall at 147 pounds?
No, you know what, if I'd have got that victory against Barboza, then I believe I'd be, if not fighting for a world title, certainly for an eliminator, so I'd have stayed at 140. And it's not something we've talked about over the last couple of years, oh, is it time to move up? I'm not growing any taller. Yeah, my body's maturing, and as you get older it becomes a little bit more difficult, but I look after my body, I train year round, so I can still do 140. It was more of a case of what's on offer. Now I believe I could have come back, probably fought a 10-round international fight on an undercard, but that doesn't do me any favours. And then Harlem's name gets thrown in the hat. His cousin's just come off a tremendous fight with Conor Benn, so the name's hot right now. And I'll be honest, if it wasn't for his last name being Eubank, if it was Harlem Smith, then there'd probably be no interest in the fight. The fact that it's a Eubank brings that bit more of interest in the British boxing. You look at Harlem's last couple of fights, I think he's boxed twice at welterweight, 140 before that. Doesn't seem like a massive welterweight, so it's a new challenge, a fresh challenge, and yeah, we agreed it.
It's the Wednesday of fight week. How different does Jack Catterall feel this stage with those extra £7 compared to how you'd feel making 140?
You know what, I'm feeling good now. These last couple of weeks has been notably different as well. Going through the tough 12 rounds of sparring, doing the trap work, these back-to-back big days, and when, listen, there's no excuses, because maybe I'll fight at 140 in the future and I can do it, but you certainly have more energy.
Let's talk about the man who's going to be stood opposite you on Saturday night, Harlem Eubank. Like yourself, a relatively new addition to welterweight, as you allude to. Had his first meaningful fight really at that weight against the man you know well, Tyrone McKenna. Won well. What did you make of his performance?
Yeah, you know what, it was, I think it was 7 years ago, 2 days ago, since we boxed. But yeah, you know what, from what I've seen of Harlem, flashy, orthodox fighter. I've watched him, I've been watching him, I've seen him for the last year or so. I don't get caught up in it too much, but I feel good. I feel good at welterweight. I'm looking forward to fighting him on Saturday. Now, whether he decides to come and try and knock me out like he said, or box in the back foot, I believe I have all the answers for him.
Well, it's interesting that it's 7 years basically to the day since you fought Tyrone. That was obviously down at 140. Tyrone's boxed as low as lightweight. What differences are there, do you think, between the Tyrone McKenna you boxed and the version that fought Harlem Eubank?
Yeah, I think you've got to say a world of difference. I think I'm right in saying I was his first guy to beat him. And listen, Tyrone's had a lot of tough fights since then. I've got a lot of time for Tyrone. He's a very honest man, a very tough man. He's had a lot of wars, a lot of miles on the clock. I think he retired after the Crocker fight. He's come back to fight Harlem. I don't think the motivation was there. I think I'm right in saying I've seen things online saying he probably wasn't that bothered about the fight, turned up, so there's got to be a big difference.
Jack, you and Harlem are basically the same age, although you've mixed it at the higher level, you're the more experienced fighter. Do you accept you're the one with more to lose on Saturday night?
Yeah, I put that pressure on myself. 2 back-to-back defeats ain't going to do me any favours at this point in my career. But again, I don't want to be involved in fights that nobody's interested in on an undercard against an international opponent, trying to grab another win. Like, I'm doing myself, my career no favours, I'm doing the fans no favours. So yeah, I put that pressure on myself. He's stepping up. I've been in his position where I'm chasing bigger fights, and listen, we're all chasing bigger fights, but right now I've got a fighter in front of me who's undefeated, he's hungry, he wants to take my scalp. The reason I took the fight is because it's an undefeated fighter, it's a domestic clash, it's one we can put on over here where we can sell tickets, people could come support it, they know of the Eubank name, so that's why I've took it, and I believe a victory Saturday puts me in a better position.
Talk about that hunger from Harlem now. I watched, I think it was the shoulder programming from Matchroom, and he says he believes he stops you. We've never seen you hurt, we've never seen you in trouble in a fight. You spent time with Harlem, he's got to say things like that, it builds the fight, he's got to believe in himself, but do you think he believes that when he says he's going to stop you?
You know what, I don't, and I don't know Harlem personally. From what I have seen of him, unless somebody's disrespectful towards me, my family, my team, then it's like, I say it's business, it is personal, I'm fighting him, do you know what I mean? I want to beat him up Saturday. Not going to start bad-mouthing him, but if he thinks he's going to knock me out Saturday, I think he's pissed.
One man we've not seen for the build-up, we saw Sam Jones do a bit of an impression of him, is Chris Eubank Sr. He could make an appearance this week. Do you want him to? It'll be a different week if he's involved. He's brings the virality, he brings the quotes. Do you want him to get involved at this stage, or is that a distraction that maybe you don't need from a fighter's perspective?
You know what, it means no odds to me. I'm going to go about fight week as I always do. Focused on Saturday, discipline, spending time watching fights, spending it with my team, doing what we do. But if Chris makes an appearance, maybe tomorrow at the press conference, Friday at the weigh-in, then what will be. I guess ultimately it can only be good for me and Harlem if he does. It brings more eyes to it.
Now, Jack, you talked a bit about the move up from 140, coming from sort of what's available. What do you think of what's available at 147? Obviously, there was talk of that trilogy fight with Josh Taylor, who's since gone on to lose to Echo Esselman. There's a lot of the world titles have become vacant with Jerron Ennis moving up. What's the plan moving forward? I know you won't be looking past Harlem, but is it to become a world champion at 147? Is it for big fights, big domestic clashes? Talk to me about your team's thoughts moving forward.
Yeah, like you said, we can't look past Saturday, and I'll be a fool to start making plans. That's a job for Frank Smith, Eddie, and Matchroom, Sam. What I will say is I want more big fights. The dream is still to become world champion, whether that comes at 140, 147. I believe Boots is moving up, that might free up the belt, so at 147. It's still kind of wide open at 140, and there's a lot of great fights to be made aside from the world title fights, so these are the fights that I'm craving.
You're someone, last question by the way, who at 140, the world champions weren't keen to fight unless they had to. Do you accept it's going to be the same at 147 and you'll probably have to force yourself into a mandatory position?
Yeah, of course. I've not had an easy route ever really, and I think ultimately you've got to put yourself in that position and take the opportunities, get in that mandatory position.
Well, Jack, thanks for the time. I know you've got a lot of media to do, so I'll let you go. Looking forward to seeing you on Saturday night.
Thank you very much.